friends, Rebecca here, your friendly neighborhood dragon librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I'm here today with Brill to talk to you about a book that we think is just absolutely wonderful. Now, this is a book that I didn't really hear about a lot until very recently when it just came out, and I gobbled it up immediately and just can't stop thinking about it because it's phenomenal. Now, this is the book that I think that everyone can enjoy, even if it's not your genre, particular genre that you normally gravitate towards. I still think this book has something for everyone. It's just absolutely delightful, and I loved it. So, this book is called The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. MacLean. The Phoenix Keeper. Now, I believe this is her debut novel. I have not read anything else that suggests that she's written other things before this, so I think this is her very first book. And like I said, I didn't really hear a lot of hype or anything about it, but it just recently came across my radar and I knew I had to read it. So, as you can probably guess from the cover and the title, yes, this is a fantasy book. Now, don't run away if you're not somebody that generally reads fantasy. This is very, very accessible to anyone. So it's not epic fantasy, it's not high fantasy. It would definitely fall in the cozy fantasy genre, which is a subgenre that has become really, really popular in the past couple of years, particularly. And that is because, like cozy mysteries, cozy fantasy books are really easy to get into the story. They don't require you to memorize a lot of crazy lore or world building or anything like that. Really, it just focuses on the story itself and the characters, with some fantastic elements, of course. So this is a book that is definitely falls within that genre, and it is about a zoo that holds magical creatures. So if you're thinking of things like, griffins or kelpies or unicorns or dragons or phoenixes, right? And if they're living in the wild, then most likely there is going to be a zoo that holds some of these creatures too. Now, a lot of these creatures are endangered and cannot be found in the wild that much anymore. So the zoo in this story takes a lot of care into preserving the animal's safety and health. So this story takes place in a fantasy world that you don't really need to know much about, other than our main characters live in this city where there is this zoo. This zoo is world renowned for their care of these creatures. So our main character is a girl named Isla, who is the head phoenix keeper at this zoo. She has been obsessed with phoenixes since she was a girl. She loves them so much. And it is her dream now to be working as, taking care of these magnificent phoenixes in this zoo. One problem is she has terrible anxiety. So she has really, really bad anxiety when it comes to other people, like social anxiety. So she finds making friends very difficult and talking to other people, especially strangers, to be almost impossible, which is really hard when you work in the zoo because you have to do performances where you're talking about the creatures that you're working with and stuff like that, which she loathes. And her nemesis is this woman named Luciana, who she went to college with, who works in the griffin part of the zoo. And she has these amazing, spectacular, shows where they do all these tricks and flying and stuff. And, she Isla hates that because she thinks that it's just showboating, and she also knows that she could never do anything like that. Well, the one phoenix that she has in her zoo is she's been applying to get this male phoenix as well so she could restart the breeding program, because their breeding program for phoenixes has not been around for many, many years. So she applies for that. She finally gets the go-ahead for that. But now the world is watching these phoenixes, and the world is watching her, and she has to pretty much ask for help from her nemesis, Luciana, to help her with all this onslaught of publicity. There's a lot more people coming to the zoo now because they're hoping that there will be a clutch of phoenix eggs. There is also the danger of a lot of poachers who try to steal eggs and steal phoenixes for their you know, their body parts. There's like this whole poaching industry that's on the black market. So she's got a lot she's dealing with. And of course, a lot of the aspects of this are completely out of her wheelhouse, which is public speaking and talking in interviews and stuff like that. So she has to kind of suck it up and try to work with Luciana to get better on that. So this is just, like I said, the stakes are high for the characters, but they're not like world ending, right? So this is not a big epic fantasy. This is not Game of Thrones. This is just a cozy little fantasy story about a magical zoo that has these magical creatures, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I loved everything about this book. The writing was really down to earth and accessible. It was super fun. There were some really beautiful illustrations at the beginnings of each part of the book that have like pictures of some of the magical creatures with a little bit of information about them, which I thought was a really fun, neat touch. And I really loved the characters, especially Isla, because I don't deal with the public speaking aspect of her anxiety, but as somebody that has anxiety, I completely could empathize with her a lot. And watching her journey from someone who basically keeps to herself, she's got one really good friend at the zoo, but other than that, keeps to herself, to someone who is able to ask for help, to reach out to others, to rely on others, because asking for help is not the easiest thing in the world to do, right? So I loved her journey. It was absolutely incredible. There is a little bit of romance in this book. There is a little bit of danger, right, with the whole poacher thing. But overall, this is just a really fun, cute story that I think is super accessible to anyone, even if you are not a fan of the genre. If you're not a big fantasy person, doesn't matter. I think there's something here for everyone. So give it a try. And even if you're not a fantasy reader, or if you do love fantasy, I think you will absolutely adore this book. The Phoenix Keeper. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that this book sounds really awesome and that it's something that you might want to give a try to. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library. And also, thank you so very much for watching, friends, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.